Welcome to Crunch Time, a program dedicated to helping you survive the crunch times in your life, whether they are caused by accidents, natural disasters, poverty, economic recession, depression, or all-out economic collapse, or whether they are caused by your realization that today's food supply is being contaminated by artificial fertilizers, pesticides, and genetically modified organisms, and over-processing of crops into what can hardly be called food. We want to help you through the crunch times in your future by teaching you what we have learned about organic gardening, food storage, and food preparation. We'll bring you into our kitchen and into our garden and share with you what we have learned, hopefully before your crunch times arrive. Now here is Chef Francois. Welcome back to Crunch Time, where Jesus is King and all our desires are to serve Him. Today, once again, as we did last week, we're going to go to the garden and we're going to continue doing our spring planting, cultivating, composting, and work in the garden. Okay, I have watered everything in the garden. Well, not everything, but close. And I'm watering the compost pile, because without moisture it will not compost, and it has been so dry that every time I come over here I put on at least a bucket full of water to get that moist enough to compost down inside. Compost needs nitrogen, carbon, and water, and some air. We got the right size container so that the air can get through it. But we also need water and nitrogen. So that's it. I'm going to harvest a couple of rutabagas and go home. Alright, these rutabagas have been growing all winter, and they're still doing just fine. Even just covered up with a few leaves. So I'm grabbing the ones without live growth on top. That'll be enough for today, and I'll come back tomorrow and get some more. So even though they're been through the winter, some of these are still growing. That patch down there is growing really well, and I'm just harvesting the ones that are closest to dormant or dead. And kale's doing well. I could eat some of that right here, right now. I think I'll have this leaf right here. Still growing after a nice hard winter. So is the spinach and strawberries. So I decided for today's work that I would get rid of some of those bags you see along the fence there. And we're going to take this compost bin over here to the left.
Some rocks over
and
there.
we're going to disassemble it and then reassemble it to the right and fill it up with leaves that are inside these bags. We're going to use a rock for a hammer to be able to reassemble the bin, and then we're going to fill it with leaves and water it, put some nitrogen on it, and get it ready for compost.
Alright, we're going to take our cage apart and set it up over here. this together. Might be missing the nail that goes on top of that side. So I'll put this nail on top of this side. Yeah, there's one more nail right there. Put that on top over here. There. Now load in those bags and water that some more. Rake up the extra leaves that fell off. Make sure these are leaves and not pine cones. It looks like leaves to me. And leaves. Nice wet ones too. Alright, I'll get some more. Oh, it's like wet leaves. Okay, today is the 11th of April, and I've watered parts of the garden that are growing, some even that aren't, And it's time to start preparing the pits for squash, watermelon, and so forth. We have a pit right here that we dug last year, a couple feet deep. Put some mulch and some household garbage and compost and soil and nitrogen. And we grew long neck squash. Had lots of it there. Had another pit here, another pit there, another pit down there, all underneath where the bark is. And now we don't want to grow in the same exact spot. So what we're going to do is I'm going to make a pit from here to here. I may even use that piece of wood on the bottom side as a barrier. But first thing I'm going to do is cut it out, dig the sod out, shake as much topsoil out of the sod as I can, and then keep the topsoil, because that's what I'm going to be putting back in. So I will check you after I've done some more. Okay, what I've done here is I've dug out some topsoil out of the pit that we had right there, put it into this bucket, and then I scraped off the sod from the area adjacent to it and peeled it back, pushed it over, laid it out, and resodded where the pit used to be. In fact, I could use a little bit of that to help fill in some of that. Now I'm going to dig out more of this topsoil, and then we're going to get underneath and dig out the sand, and we're going to use the sand for fill wherever in our yard we need it. And then we'll have enough topsoil between this bucket and this, and all the compost and the garbage, compost and garbage that we're going to put down in the bottom to fill that pit up. And when we get done, we'll put a piece of plastic over the top so it'll get nice and warm, and we'll plant our watermelons in there. Okay, we have dug out a whole bunch of topsoil. We got a good 2 feet thick of topsoil before we even get to the sand. You can see that we are down to the sand. I'm now going to loosen up the sand as deep as I can without digging it out, and start mixing in the compost, composting garbage, the nitrogen, and the topsoil in layers all the way to the top. And we'll put that 4x4 right across here to help build it up so it's fairly level. But the reason there's so much topsoil here is it's a residential area. It used to be woods, and when property was landscaped, they had extra topsoil and they buried it wherever, and we've got deeper than normal topsoil here. Over there we'd have a lot less. Out there we're going to have a lot less, and we'll see when we go do the other hole. Alright, I have loosened up the dirt, and I have put the household garbage down the bottom, mixed it up with the sand, and then I have thrown some more of this topsoil, and throw some more of this wet garbage down into there. This will not stink because it'll be down below the ground, and the squash and the watermelon and the pumpkin really grow well when there's this kind of compost down there. So I think I can just tip that right up, dump it right in there. I don't want to pack this down. That's just going to be loose. And the rest of this is going to go right on top of there. Some of this is squash. Some of it is shells of pistachios. Some of it is rutabagas, beets, banana peels, all kinds of garbage. Alright, that's good enough. Now we can just fill up the hole. Guess I'm gonna have to use my shovel. Oh, I want to put some nitrogen too, especially down low where the roots won't be getting at it yet. Last year I used about 4 2-liter bottles in each pit. This time I think I'm only going to put a couple up on top. I might as well use it to, I'll use water to rinse that out. High nitrogen liquid fertilizer, otherwise known as liquid gold. And that should soak right down into the compost underneath, give it plenty of nitrogen to compost properly. By the time the roots get down there, it'll be pretty much gone. Alright, I think I can dump that now. And I should have that left over, that big thing. So if I can pull that right down to there. Rake off the dirt. And I can just go ahead and put my plastic on top and make valleys for the water to drain it right in. So that's what we got. Now we'll be tucking plastic in that's tucked in that side, this side, this side. Front side might be open. We'll be able to transplant our watermelons in there and maybe have a little dome over it like he's got on that one over there. And this we'll have left over for our next pet. Okay, the pit we're digging on this side, as you can see, is a lot shallower before we get to the sand. So we're going to need a lot of that topsoil that we dug out of that other pit just to put into this one. Well, it looks like it's topsoil down underneath. Anyway, I'm going to dig the sand out, mixed in with a little bit of topsoil, I guess, and put it somewhere else and dig down, make room for, yeah, there's topsoil underneath. So I'm going to pull off the layer of sand and dig down into the topsoil and get it into some rich topsoil. Yeah, there's good topsoil down underneath. Just a layer of sand, again, because it was landscaped as a residential subdivision. Alright, I'm going to dig down, loosen it up. Alright, we've gone down through the topsoil, through a layer of sand, through another layer of topsoil, and as you can see, we're down into the virgin sand, which I want to loosen up like that. And add some of this rotten garbage that we've been saving all winter. That's a good layer of it. And I can put some of this topsoil. And this is the sumac flowers that we had left over from the sumac aid. Good garbage. Now I'm trying to put some nitrogen. And maybe some more of this sumac and squash. Looks like a rutabaga. Alright, get some nitrogen. A little bit bigger pit, so I probably should use 2 in here. And let that soak right in. That looks good. Just cover it up with some more of this topsoil, and that'll be the pit for either carnival squash or another form of watermelon. Since we had squash here last year, it might be good to have watermelon. I might pick out some of these roots. And that's our second pit for the day. Third pit's going to be right over here. Last year we had a pit right here, so we're going to move it over to here. Last year we had one up the hill from this one, and we also had one in the middle here, which I'm not going to do this year. Okay, done for the day. We have prepared 3 pits for watermelon and squash. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. I have taken some of the dirt and weeds and put it in compost pile and watered that down with rinsings out of the buckets that the garbage came in. Taken the excess topsoil and spread it in that area up there, which was all sand. Now we've got topsoil there. We can throw some grass seed down, and hopefully, before the kids ruin it, we'll have some grass seed or some grass. I've also done all the watering in the main garden that I need to do, at least. And if my foot could take another couple hours, I'd turn that compost in, but not today. So, we're done. In the last minute of our show, I'd like to tell you about the real reason for this show. Jesus Christ, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Without Jesus as my Savior, I would not be confident entering into these trying times that lay ahead. If Jesus is not your Lord and Savior, I suggest you send me an email at crunchtime@roadrunner.com and ask me how you can join the God who loves you, His Son Jesus Christ, and His disciples in everlasting life. For now, I say to you, God bless and keep you and yours. I'll see you next week on Crunch Time with Chef Francois.